Hey there, are you having issues drawing the eyes of your original character, OC? Or maybe you draw the eyes of your character but dim it to flat, without emotion, or less expressive. Today, I would like for us to walk together through solving those issues you as a newbie or old users might be facing in creating of your character eyes, which now brings us down to today's illustration article study title, Breakdown Study of How I Paint My OC Eyes Using CSP. Now, as we do know, the eyes play an important role in the bringing to life of our character by simply giving them good eye dynamism, intensity, and a fun emotional expression, which in one sense can go a very long way. This concept can be easily seen in our characters, which when we tilt the head of our character downward with the iris of the character's eyes facing up, suggest our character's seriousness. Or in another scenario, the head of the character position facing upward and the iris of the character's eyes is facing downward, suggesting the character's shy personality traits, as they do say the eyes tends to be the window to the mind and soul of a person or his or her personality, which tends to tell the story or the moral character of the individual character on what the character is feeling at that particular moment. Hence, in today's article, I would like us to walk down the parts of getting to know those things involved in the creation of an eye to better give our character a unique mood and eyes expression. Now, before anything, we'll first need to decide on our style of art. The painting of eye often comes in different forms and can be drawn and painted in different ways. Before anything, when drawing your eyes, I do advise one start by deciding on his or her style of art. What I meant by this is before you start drawing your eyes, you need to consider the kind of style you want for your eyes to be like before you start drawing. Take, for example, these two characters which have two different styles of eyes, one being semi-realistic and the other looking more cartoonish with an exaggerated expression. Now, considering the silhouette or semi-realistic kind of eye style, this kind of style often mimic a real-life human eyes in a sense, but it often uses some common regular shape to structures it. Eyes like that of anime, manga, and high class animations such as Arcane make use of this kind of style. Now for the realistic eyes drawing process. This process is done by drawing a square shape using the Clip Studio Paint CSP transformation tool. Tilt the shape of the square toward the right side, and with that we now have a regular basic shape of eyes, which we can now use for the eyes of our character. Meanwhile, for a cartoonish kind of eyes style, this particular set of style often depicts unrealistic method of drawing which involved one making something seem larger, more important, better, or worse than it really is to evoke a stronger response from the viewer. For the cartoonish eyes drawing process, start by drawing a spherical shape with a horizontal lines at the middle, mimicking a medicinal tablet kind of looks. Then, using the transformation tool again, cut off the bottom part, and with the use of the upper part, we now have an exaggerated eye for our character. Do know that this set of process mentioned cannot be used for all style of exaggerated drawing of eyes, but often work for some of our common cartoons characters. Now, the breakdown of the eye's anatomy fundamentals. Before we dive into the drawing of the eyes proper, we will first need to dive into the eye fundamentals or anatomy in a whole. Hence, I break down the fundamentals into three simple parts, namely the upper eyelid, the eyeball, and the lower eyelid. Briefly, let us look at this different features of the eyes. I would like for us to see the realistic and stylistic method of drawing the various eye features. For the realistic method of drawing eyes, I would like for us to look at the following aspect: the layout of the eyeball, and alongside is the layout of the upper and lower eyelid. For the layout of the eyeballs, looking at the anatomy of the eyeball, we'll get to notice the key features which makes up the eyeball are as follows: the sclera, iris, and pupil. Studying how the eyeball is fixed and secure in the head of a person, all due to the provided space in the skull called the eye socket, where the eyeball can be located and secured. Also, shapes can be used in determining how the iris appear, and easily giving it different sets of looks, making the various eyes of the character looking unique. Next, drawing the set of eyeball. I start by doing the 6 step-by-step process of drawing an eyeball. Step 1. Painting in a sphere shape. I do know that most people believe that the eyeball is made up in a round shape, but I'm here to tell you that it is not. But it's in a spherical shape. Step 2. Add a pale colored iris and the dark color pupil. Step 3. Add a blue color at the bottom of the iris. Step 4. Detailed the added blue color with some dark variant colors showing the effect in an iris. Step 5. Add more detail by adding a set of white highlights to the eyeball. The eyeball, as we do know, are sets of aqueous humor which have a sort of glittering effect. Step 6. With the above process all done, we can then add our set of eyelid. And we are done with the painting of our character's eyeballs. Layout of the upper and lower eyelid. The sets of eyelid plays a vital role in facial expressions, helping to convey emotions like surprise, happiness, and sadness. Also, as we do know, the eyeball comprises of 2 parts, which is the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. I would like for us to start with the upper eyelid. Now, let's study the drawing process of a realistic upper eyelid. This part of the eye's eyelid has 3 set of components: the brows, thick lash, and the upper lid, which is used to show the mood of the character. Let's get to learn about them and how they can be drawn. Drawing process of realistic eyebrows. I have break down the process in which I draw the eyebrows of my character is shown in 3 easy steps. Step 1. Paint in a stroke of a brush to lay out the shape of the brows. Step 2. On another layer, draw some tiny streams of hair above the shape of the brows. Step 3. Create a different set of layer again and draw in another sets of strands of hair. Next, drawing process of a realistic upper eyelid. This is a set of skin areas which cover the top part of the eyes. Helps in protecting the eyes and differentiating the top eyelid can help add unique individuality and personality as well. Another thing which can be seen around the face are the eyelashes. For the upper eyelid, we'll get to see a set of thicker eyelashes. Thicker eyelashes, as the name implies, are sets of thick strains of hairs, which grow on the eyelids and can easily beautify and protect the eyes. Most times, young artists often find it difficult when drawing the lashes of an eye, oftentimes drawing the hair strings in a straight manner instead of curving the hair strings. So in this aspect, I would like us to look at the various ways to draw the eyelashes. Eyelashes often comes in 2 types. One following eyelashes has its strains of the hairs pointing downwards, and that of the other set of eyelashes, the strains of the hair points upward. Whereas, when the eyelashes are drawn for the upper eyelids, it can be seen from the 3 different viewpoints that the strains of hairs of the lash will be very thicker and highly dense, even when eyes are viewed from different directions, respectively. Next is the drawing process of a realistic lower eyelid. For the lower eyelid, which has for set of components the thinner lash, the eye bags, waterline, and lacrimal carbuncle, which is used to show the mood of the character. When the eyelashes are drawn for the lower eyelids, it can be seen from 3 different viewpoints that the strains of hairs of the lash will be very smaller and scanty, even when eyes are viewed from different directions, respectively. And with the proper way of drawing eyelashes well understood, we can easily give our character a nice eyelashes from any of the various viewpoints. Do note, when we take a closer look at the eyes, we can clearly see different perspective viewpoints of the eye. For the frontward view, we will see the pupil in the middle of the iris. But when we look closely at that of the sideward view, we can see the pupil in place. By the side, that is because the iris itself is in a conical shape facing inward. So to show that conical depth, we need to draw the pupil by the side when the eyes is viewed from the side. When viewed from the front, the iris has 3 set of layers which you can give unique colors respectively, which we will see in the stylistic way of painting we will be doing later on. For the stylistic method of drawing eyes, I would like for us to look at the following aspects: stylizing your eyelashes, stylizing of your iris, adding of stylized waterline, bonus round, stylizing your eyelashes. This process can be done in 3 easy steps. Step 1. Start by using the G-Pen Soft Subtool brush. Block out the structure of the eyelashes. Step 2. Simply add a blocked eyelashes with a very heavy dark black color. Step 3. Using a soft airbrush, add some fading effect to the ends of the lashes and using the eraser subtool to erase the starting point of the lash hence to give it a strain-like effect. Make sure that the layer blending mode is set to highlight as shown, then using the airbrush, add some saturated color to the edges of the eyelashes. Stylizing of your iris. There are 3 styles of which I use to stylize the iris of my original character, which I have break down into 4 steps. Step 1. Using the polygon and ellipse subtools, fill in a flat color of the iris. Step 2. Using the round rough brush, add a shadow area to the eye where the part of the light cannot reach. Step 3. Add some details to the shadow areas of the iris to give it a deep dark effect, and for the other, a saturated color to the light area of the iris. Step 4. Finish up by adding a warm color with shimmering effect and some highlights to the eye. Also making sure the blending mode of the layer is set to overlay. Adding of stylizing waterline. At this point in time, we first start by drawing a white line underneath the eyelashes where the shadow of the eyes and the eyelashes meet, with it acting as the waterline for the stylized set of eyes. With that done, we are through with the drawing of our original character's stylized eyes. But if you feel like drawing the lash and iris a hustle, I do advise you download some asset material from the asset store. Now for the bonus round of today's tutorial article. Say you want to design an eye and you don't have enough time to do that. Clip Studio Paint got you covered, for you can get different sets of stylized eyelashes. Alongside this 2 sets of iris, which are namely Basic Iris Set 06 and Image Material, and SG Ornament a subtool material from the CSP Asset Store. Using both the eyelashes and iris asset materials together, we can easily give our character their different looks by simply just adjusting the iris or changing the kind of eyelashes used. If you would like to get the above set of asset materials, you can easily locate the set of eyelashes used for the above images in the Clip Studio Paint Asset Store, which you can get to by using the link below in the description caption. Or say you're watching from the Clip Studio Paint website, you can get the various asset materials linked in the below article illustration. Or you can simply go to the Asset Store, type in eyes in the search engine above the Clip Studio Paint Asset Store website. You will then see the various set of materials I made use of. Layout for the various shapes of eyes. Drawing the eyes of a character, I often use shapes like rectangular, trapezoid to block out the general forms of the eyes before I draw in the rest of the eye's features for better understanding. Using those above forms of structuring or framing, we can easily get the following shown set of eyes expression. At this point, I believe most of us may feel this course is overwhelming, but please bear with me and follow along. We are onto the juicy part now. Next, advantages and usefulness of good positioning and perspective of the eyes. As far back as when art was developed, artists have long been drawn to the drawing of the eyes, and for good reason. Eyes are often associated with focus, truth, clarity, prophecy, awareness, and observation. And so the eyes tends to act as a perfect symbol for artists striving to evoke imagery that surfaces these concepts to the conscious mind of the viewers. So now then, let's learn and build upon our eyes positioning skills. Now, having skills to position your eyes perfectly is an important skill we as artists need to have. As young artists, we often find it hard to draw and position our eyes accurately, which often make the eyes of our character look distorted and unbalanced, as you can very much see in the 3 sets of illustration images shown. To correct this error, which we as young artists may do sometime, using methods I have learned over time, This method is very easy and simple. It's a method that helps artists accurately place a proper spacing between the eyes of their character, and it's done by first duplicating one set of the drawn eyes. Then, enable the layer property, which turn the layer color blue, then place it in between the two eyes, making sure that the two opposite eyes touches each ends of the blue eye in the middle, and with that done, we now have a properly balanced set of eyes. But if you still find balancing and spacing of the eyes difficult to do, you can just probably use the Clip Studio Paint 3D model set of eyes as a guide to better help you accurately position your eyes in different viewpoints. With the use of the 3D model, we can easily, with less effort, draw the eyes in different positions, from when the character is looking upward to even when the character is looking downward. This set of 3D asset material can be gotten from the Clip Studio Paint asset store. If you would like to get it for yourself, you can use the below link in the description caption. Or say you want to further learn about how to use the set of 3D models to draw eyes, there is a link in the description caption for that as well. Now, I would like us to learn the uniqueness in the drawing of eyeballs with different perspective in mind, and also learning the proper fundamentals in the drawing of the eyes from different perspectives. When exploring the uniqueness in drawing eyes from different perspectives, it's essential to consider how perspective affects the representation of the eye. Here are some key points to keep in mind: the eye level and horizon point. Understanding your eye level line is crucial in determining how the eye is perceived in relation to the viewer's perspective viewpoints of the eyes. Starting with the eyeballs and how is positioned with its horizon line can significantly alter the appearance of the eye. Oftentimes, as beginners, we may find this aspect of drawing eyes confusing and complicated. But to better ease us of the stress of imagining the positioning of the eyes, we can just make use of a handmade eyeball reference guide. For the frontal, upward, and downward view, this is the most straightforward perspective, where the eye is symmetrical and easily recognizable. Meanwhile, for the side view, drawing the eye from the side introduces foreshortening, which can create a more dynamic and realistic representation of the eyes. Now the tilted angles. Angling the head can create unique shapes and shadows, adding depth and interest to the drawn eyes. When viewed from above, the eyelid may observe a downward curve, while a view from below can exaggerate an upward curvature of the eye and eyelids. Say, for instance, a downward gaze might suggest sadness, while an upward gaze can imply excitement. Now do note, the image on the right, due to it having its light coming from above, may have the shadow affecting the top part of the eye, cause the light will be blocked by the upper eyelid. Meanwhile, when the light source is below the eyes, the lower eyelid will block the light ray, making shadow to be at the bottom part of the eyes. Eyes are also used in telling of characters' emotion, which impact or depict character moods. This self-expressive aspect of eyes can be used to depict the emotional impact expressions such as personality and dramatic action effect, which I would like us to study according to the numbering. 1. Let's see how the eyes evokes character's personality. In a sense, changing the shape of the eyelid or positioning the eyelids differently can easily change the personality of our original character into 3 different characters, A1, B, and C, with their own unique individual personality. 2. Evoking of dramatic action effects. In this aspect, just simple playing with the positioning of the parts of the eye can also influence the emotional expression conveyed by the eye. Now take, for instance, when the eyes are slightly widened with one of the eyebrows slightly raised at the end, with the gaze suggesting the character's seriousness or anger, as shown in image A1. Whereas when a character has a sort of star-like effect shining in the position of the iris, suggesting the character is excited or fired up for something, as shown in image B. Or say when the eyelids closed shut with very small eyebrows in place, the character is forcefully doing something like furiously yelling at someone, as shown in image C. 3. Use of facial shape. The shape of the eye section is a very important factor which note the character's facial language in its complexity, and interpreting emotions solely based on head positioning alone can be misleading. It's best to consider the context and other nonverbal cues like the facial shapes to better understand someone's true feelings. With a proper understanding of the facial shapes, we can easily give our character a conclusive emotional expression, no matter the position or perspective of the character. Next is how the eyes are used to determine age and beauty. In the art world, the eyes of a character play a significant role in conveying age and beauty. Here are some key points to consider. Age is but a number, and lastly, adding of makeup. Now for age is but a number. Over the years, I have learned that when trying to show the different age group of characters, artists often use lines drawn around the upper and lower eyelids to depict wrinkles around the eyes, which suggest the aging of the character. Meanwhile, while smoother skin around the eyes and the eye's increased size may indicate the character's youthfulness. Next, let's look at adding of makeup. When we add a desaturated color to the eyelids of the character, it tends to make the character appear sickly or drained of life. But if we add some saturated colors to the eyelids of the character, it tends to make the character appear more beautiful and attractive as shown. Now, reaching the climax point, I would like us to look at my step-by-step layout process for the eyes of my character. At this point, I just want us to put to practice what we have learned in today's tutorial. I will be using my already original character named Anali, then changing the painting style to that of the arcane style of painting characters using the various above-mentioned methods. First, I start by using a pastel set of subtool called chalk, adding a dark brown color to the eyelid sections of the eye, and where the eyeballs will be, I paint the place a slightly whitish yellow color. On another created layer, I change the facial features of the character by adding some hard agent soft age coloring style in between the two eyes which arcane characters have, which tend to make their own style unique. Also, I did added a little bit of my own style of painting, which tends to look stylized to make sure it stand out. Next, I use an asset tool I downloaded from Asset Store called Orange Sea Material, and I then added it as my iris on a new layer above the previously created cirrus. I then move on to adding details like the pupils and an outer borderline for the iris, which with that done concludes this piece, and here is the finished work. Thanks for watching. Please do well to hit the like and subscribe button.